Hola, bienvenido, welcome to La Junta Aysén, Chile, Patagonia. I'm Paul and
My name is Konomi.
and together we are going to introduce a friend whom we happened to meet last year on our land when we were out gardening one day. A wonderful family turned up of Enrique and Mahani's mother, and we had a lovely chat. And these were the first people to ever visit our land from the island of Rapanui. Rapanui to English-speaking people around the planet is commonly known as Easter Island. So we met up with them and had a wonderful time showing them around our land. So on the tour with Mahani and her husband Enrique, we introduced them to our lives, and they told us of their lives back in Rapanui. The most fascinating life indeed. Together, along with friends over on the island, Mahani and Enrique created a music school, the Toki School of Music. And this is very close to the heart of Mahani, who is a concert pianist. So I would like to introduce the school to everyone here.
Y hablando Corúa, soy Enrique Ica y MAHANI TEAVE. Queremos agradecer a todos ustedes por habernos ayudado en esta construcción de la Escuela de Música y queremos invitarlos a ver un pequeño video de todo el trabajo que hemos estado realizando con su ayuda y con toda la comunidad Rapanui. Maururu.
Thank you, friends from all over the world who have helped us to build our School of Music and the Arts on Rapanui. We are still in the process of construction and we hope to finish in March, but this has all been possible thanks to your help. We have prepared a small video so that you can share with us what has this process been and the beauty of having people from all over the world helping this dream come true. Maururu.
E tai no moe warua. Ina e tahi ngā puki, mohakarei tōna ka inga, ana e aki hau, mohakare tōna maramarama, e hau haao o. E hau haao o. Pahono mai ia e rā moe warua penei e. Penei ki e rai korua, mai ki ana tatu I te nua. Ko he tuana te rongo, ki te kuhana, ko te ngā hitu ahuru tamane, ko te ona koro tangata. E mai ki ana tatu I te nua. He tuu te tau, he aka he oho te koro pūkeho. He wau ahuru re pahoa o te ao tā atoa, I muri o te nuna ao Toki, ana nake ko Michael Reynolds, e ko te ngāre pahoa nei, ko Rua. Ono moho I to tatuara, mo te hina, e mo te makapuna. I o tiera te taoa, whakatuu I te hare hapi, he huru te rima o Toki ki ro te o one, e oka I te kai. I to mātou kuhane e akoa, o te ina ngā te mau e mātou. Maururu atu kōrua ta atoa, o te hokorua mai, e o te haatia mai, moha ere haka o. I muri, o te hānua noa mea.
Hola, Mahani.
Hi, Paul. Hi. Thank you so much for the invitation to be here and for showing the video of the school. It's a great joy for me to be able to talk to you and I was tremendously inspired by what I saw at your home. I must say it, and I think I wish everybody knew what an amazing place you have. I mean, I think it was one of the highlights of our trip to Patagonia was going to your home. It's absolutely an example for everybody, just of self-sustainability, of really this conscious work and love to the earth. And I really was just absolutely thrilled and so grateful to have been at your place. So I'm honored to be in your program too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's well, as this is about moving on. I was just thinking, the focus of this chat is of course, the future, and especially following this coronavirus. And I was just thinking that if you were to come a few months, well, you wouldn't have come a few months later. In fact, no one's coming because like Rapanui, we here in ISN are under it's a voluntary quarantine, basically. ISN has virtually shut down from the rest of the country. Fortunately for us here in ISN, it's wintertime, so the tourist industry is not so great. But obviously, tourism in ISN is very important to the economy. And whereas in your case, in Rapanui, it is vital to the economy. It's been vital for years. You were saying before it's 90% of the economy. And so, the concept of sustainability comes to mind. And that's the most beautiful thing that, well, obviously teaching the kids the music and everything like that is absolutely beautiful. But the beautiful thing is also bringing in the sustainability into the school that you've built.
Yeah, well, there is something deep within us as a maybe native culture, and it is the concept that we are complete beings. We have to nurture our emotional part, our spiritual part, but also our body, and that we are an extension of this earth too. I mean, we must take care of it because it's our home, and it's we are part of it. So I think in all the ancestral indigenous cultures that are still alive, there is that consciousness which is easily perceived still. And in the case of the island, we've had a very, very fast transition from what was the more connected kind of lifestyle that used to happen maybe 20 years ago to this fast-paced, capitalistic, consumer-based world in which the island had, and we had driven it into as a community. But this pandemic has given us the opportunity to actually revise ourselves and relook at what are we doing and what do we want to do? What do we want for ourselves? It has actually been an opportunity. And our mayor, he did, I think, just fantastic job. He simply, when this, just the danger of the virus coming to the island or flourishing on the island, he just cut everything. He said, no more flights to the island. Nobody comes, nobody goes. Everybody just locked down here. And if, as you say, most of the island lives from tourism, so for most of the people that meant zero income from now until who knows when. And although it was difficult, everybody understood it as the only way to protect our elders, who they are they carry all the wisdom of our culture, and they are our treasures. So we must take care of them. And so what the municipality has done, they have taken the resources that were assigned to the island, and they have created 500 new jobs for with a very, very basic salary, but to be able to attend to the current situation, which is our food supply. So most of the focus has been cultivating. Most of the people on the island immediately took out their all their tools for planting and having started to plant their own home gardens, their own lands. And I mean, it was instant because, I mean, we survived as an isolated place for 1,000 years. So we are capable, and our ancestors did it, and with populations of thousands. So although we have become dependent on most of the supply from the continent, we are capable of making it once again self-sustainable. And there is flights coming in once a week, bringing supplies, but the idea is to really start producing our own food. And as Toki, our foundation, we had already seen this need for I don't know if you call it in English like food sovereignty, but in Spanish, autonomía alimentaria or soberanía alimenticia, which is we must be able to produce what we need. Because, I mean, especially in the conditions that the world is in today, with the climate crisis, with the absolute devastation that we are doing to our natural resources, we must return to the essential, and that is that we produce what we need, and that we stop consuming so much. And that's why our school has been, in a way, the music, giving opportunities to the children, both in the classical area as well as in the traditional, like lessons to preserve the culture, but also this much wider cosmovision, which has to do with we take care of our earth, we plant our earth, we and the whole agricultural area of Toki has been focused on, in the past couple years, not only in production, but also in testing. What are the best ways to plant in our soil? What things maybe that we are not planting on the island that we could start planting, and that have already become part of our diet on the island. And luckily, we've had an amazing man that showed up, sort of fallen from heaven in the past couple of years. And he showed up. He's been coming to the island for the past 20 years with ideas, but somehow no one had picked him up. And when he came to us, and we thought, oh my gosh, this is exactly the guidance that we need, because he's an agroecologo who had a lot of experience in the agricultural area, but everything natural. So he's a jewel that, and he's been guiding the whole work in Toki for the past couple years. And now the municipality put him in charge of 50 people to be able to do the home huertas. What do you say in English? Like
garden?
Exactly, like the home vegetable gardens for the 500 people in most need of the family. So they're doing first 19 families that most need it, and it's different modules. For example, big families, it's 7 meters by 8 meter cultivating, and he has 50 people at his church. And some prepare the earth, others plant it, others put the protection around it, and planting all kinds of vegetables that will produce quite soon. In fact, some are already producing after less than a month. People are already eating from these vegetable gardens. And then there's some modules which are a little bit smaller for smaller families. And they made this greenhouse which already have about 10,000 little plants for these that will provide 20% of these vegetable gardens produce, and the other is the 80% they plant directly in the earth. So it's very, very interesting what's happening. And what the mayor has also done with these other 450 people is divide them in groups that tend to different aspects of the island, like cleaning the coasts of all the garbage, the underwater garbage, planting and making beautiful the main areas of the like the public areas, and helping to improve the homes of our the most poor families. Or so it's been actually a time of reworking ourselves in a way. Very, I think, luckily, no more cases so far have shown up on the island. There were some cases that were sent to be treated in the continent, but so far we could say we are almost free from the virus. I mean, we're free, but we must be precautious for a little bit longer. Yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Wonderful.
I was just thinking there of the relationship between the older people and the children, because in a lot of Western societies, nowadays a lot of people are dying from the virus in old people's homes, and I would imagine that on your island there isn't much in the way of old people's homes. Everyone is still pretty well living and being taken care of by the community. And but I was also understanding, I was reading something from your site about the possibility of the language disappearing, because because as older people get older and then gradually die off, if the language is not passed on to the younger people, the children, then the next thing you know, there is no language, which of course is common throughout the world. Like we have endangered species, we also have endangered cultures and endangered languages. And so that relationship between the elderly and the young is a vital way to not only transfer knowledge, but to keep the community as a community. And that's one thing we found here in Isen, is that the community is very strong. And it is our local mayors throughout the region pushing the higher ups to the national level that has enabled us to be like Rapanui. Virtually, it's been weeks now since we've had a case of the virus. It's amazing when you consider what's going on in the rest of the country, and it's because of that same thing where there is still a very strong sense of community. And I imagine Rapanui to be a place where, well, I saw that you're growing bananas.
Yeah.
We have the best banana plantation of the island.
Wow.
That's wonderful. It's a dream of mine. We built a big greenhouse, which you saw, the Walapini style greenhouse, underground greenhouse, and in that greenhouse we've got growing a couple of avocado trees and papaya. Yeah. We're still waiting for the fruit.
Yeah.
We got these things, and but it's also a dream of mine. I'd love to grow bananas. If
you have papayas growing, you surely can have bananas.
That'd be great.
So the possibility for Rapanui being food independent, having food security, is tremendous. Like us here, there's great land, vast amount of land. So there is the capabilities to turn into a truly sustainable societies, and that sustainability really should begin all the way from the school system. Konomi and I have been involved in South Africa. We took Japanese people, a lot of them, and they paid for the trip all the way from Japan to go to the poorest townships in South Africa and plant food gardens. in schools, where they most needed them, because the kids were malnourished, and because there was a lot of AIDS, they needed nutrition to be able to resist this. And so these were permaculture gardens, and we would go with 100 Japanese people who also funded the gardens, work with an organization, Food and Trees for Africa, and then we would plant a permaculture garden with 300 kids in a day. Just like that. We'd turn a wasteland, usually chewed on by goats, into a productive organic food garden in the space of one day. And then within a few months, those kids would be able to even take food home. They'd be able to eat good lunches. Then they'd be able to take food home, because oftentimes the kids were the parents. Like, say, the mum and dad would die, and then the oldest person in the family, say 10 years old, 11 years old, would have to look after the rest of the kids. And so they would be bringing home food to the kids, food to the community, so the concept for us, with the idea of schools, gardens, kids, all of these things, knit together in a way that's very natural.
Yeah, well, it's tremendously important what you're saying about the education. I think that's where the root of everything is. I don't think we're teaching the right things, or not including the most important ones, which have to do with cultivating and like being able to survive, and with nutritious foods, as you say. Like, it's amazing what you say, that like to be able to plant with the children, that they put their hands in the earth, that they see the results within a couple weeks or a couple months. I mean, you're giving them survival, their own survival. It's amazing. And what you were saying about the language, it's
Gone down a little bit.
my internet has problems. So yeah, what I was telling you was that the language on the island is endangered. It definitely is endangered. Our culture is endangered. And that was one of the reasons also we decided to include the cultural rescue, like the ancestral chants in our programs, and as much as we could do to motivate the children using the language. And in fact, what you were saying, what I was saying about the municipality doing new programs also during this period of the pandemic has also included the topic of cultural rescue, and putting emphasis on the language. And I think more and more on the island, people are becoming more conscious of the need to protect it because of its unicity. It's a unique language, which not just the language, each culture, because it's so unique, should be preserved and shared and valued because of its differences and because of what we can learn one from another, and not try to blend everybody into one big pot. Quite the contrary. I think it's what makes so much richness to this in this planet.
Yeah.
And our concept, just like this, as I was saying in the beginning, this holistic kind of approach, where we are complete beings, where we need to also develop our connection, with ourselves and with our planet. And that's where the education comes in. What you were saying about that you go and you've been planting in Africa with the kids, and they can hear about it, and that's one thing, but doing it themselves and actually being able to bring home the vegetables. And I think it's been a great thing on the island that the people have, in a way, understood the importance and are doing things about it. And even before the pandemic, starting to work with the children on doing vegetable gardens in their schools. I think this pandemic has, in a way, really just made come to surface the most important things for us, at least on the island, to say, okay, we were doing this right. That's where we need to put our energy. We thought this was important, but we really now know how important it is. Like now I think in a way that the educational system has to, in a way, completely revert its way of everything, what it teaches, how it teaches, and why it teaches it. I mean, today it's giving information to children about things that they will not be using, about things that they don't need, and the reality in 10 years will be completely different than the reality today. I mean, today what we need to make sure is that there will be a planet, that there will be resources, that, you know, that there will be a place to inhabit it, that will be decent. So, and that goes in the education of the kids, and to make leaders who have strong values, who actually know how to make a conscientious decision based on actually important things and not superficial things like money. So, or that can actually have a vision based on a long-term versus short-term benefits. So I think that's where, for example, in our school, it's one of the things which is very important for us, because that's what the music in a way gives to you. I mean, if a child is able to, with age 8 years old, stand up in front of an audience and sing a song or play his violin or do with his ukulele, he's a child that will be able to say what he thinks. And if we are careful to teach him well, to guide him well, we know he will be able to stand up for himself. He will be able to, in a way, lead, in a way, have strong values that the music teaches you, to respect each other, to persevere, to be tolerant, to work hard, and so on. So, yeah, it's just...
yeah, just self-confidence is very important, you know, when you grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was, it is another example actually from also from South Africa. I went into a prison to have a look at their permaculture food garden, and I was, you know, speaking to the governor of the prison, you know, and I said, what sort of changes has it brought about? And he said, well, first of all, the prisoners are a whole lot more peaceful. They've been working out in the garden. And then the organization told me, you know, one of the key aspects of it is that we're teaching the prisoners something of value. They're in the prison usually because they've had a very poor life. You know, they've been starving, whatever. They've turned to crime, you know, and they don't have the confidence to get out there in society because they think that they can't do anything, you know. But we taught them to grow food, and so they can come out of the prison with a whole lot more confidence because they know there's one thing that they can do. They can now grow food. Yeah. Wow. So it touches, can touch every aspect of society.
And then they said we were told they go back to their community and teach other people or the children how to grow food, and then they are less likely to come back as a criminal.
Yeah. So
that's
amazing.
So
yeah, and so one of the key concepts of the school comes basically from you, where you, as a child, you were very interested in music, but you had to leave the island to go to the mainland to study music, and you wanted to create the school so that kids like you wouldn't have to journey thousands of miles away from their home to learn music, and then you started the school, I believe, or at least building the school where you now are in 2012. And interestingly, at that same time, we happened to be in a conference in Isen, and there was a man from Rapanui, and he spoke of the garbage brought in from the tourist industry. And at the same time as he was talking about the garbage created by the tourist industry, hundreds of thousands of tourists visiting and having to bring in all the stuff to feed them, and the amount of garbage. At the same time, you were beginning to build your school out of garbage. I mean, it's not entirely garbage. It's there's a lot of things what people throw away in it.
Yeah.
Tires, cans, bottles.
Yes.
It's do you see the future where the houses are going to change, where buildings are going to change, where the tourist industry is going to change? Because although there's a few thousand people on the island, I imagine the amount of garbage that they produce, and especially now there's nothing coming in, not all importation, is going to be reduced and reduced and reduced. But should the tourism come back, do you foresee? Can you see changes there as far as the tourist industry is concerned?
I really hope the tourist industry diminishes, and I really hope we can rechannel the way of living and the income, where it comes from and how it's used. But regarding the garbage, the reason we built a school that was based on, mainly garbage, was because we wanted to build something that in a way could be an example for other places too. Because we were already working on, giving opportunities to the children. We were working on the culture rescue. But for us to just build a place without an actual meaning to it just went against us in a way. So somehow this documentary came to our hands called Garbage Warrior, where Michael Reynolds from United States, he's been working a system called Earthships, which are constructions 100% sustainable. They produce, they collect the rainwater, they use the solar energy, and they're built mainly with garbage, with thousands of tires and thousands and thousands and dozens of thousands of bottles and cans. And we thought, this is a great idea. We would be facing one of the big problems of the island. It might give ideas to our people or to other people elsewhere that it is possible to have 100% self-sustainable constructions, and that maybe what is a problem, which is garbage, can become a resource, a construction resource. And ideally, we would just altogether stop producing garbage. That would be the ideal of all worlds. At this point, we could actually just meanwhile use it. And so we started building the Earthship. Michael came with us with his team to the island, and we got volunteers from all over the world, and they did this 1-month course with him and with our community as well. And then Michael's team left, and our community finished building, and with volunteers that would come now and then, sometimes big groups, sometimes smaller groups. And it has been a beautiful, beautiful work, because in a way, it has brought together people from all over the world with the purest of their intentions, the most wonderful hearts and quality of people that you can imagine, that are just people wishing to help and that wish to, in a way, put their little seed and giving us the most valuable thing they have, which is their time and their hands and their work. And it's been put into this school with so much love, and you can feel it somehow in the walls, and even the children would go and help sometimes. So it's been really an amazing process. And also the fact that being built with people from everywhere, these people have also gone back to their places, and they have started their own environmental projects, and they have realized that we are all, in a way, catalysts of some kind of movement, and that regardless of who we are or what we do or where we are, we can always make a change. We can always do something to improve our place. And especially if we start uniting to do this together. I think the more we can hold our hands and work as a community, whether it's 2, whether it's 3, whether it's 5, 10, it's the easier things will come about, and the more, it's like the ripples in the water, you know, they start spreading and spreading, and even if it's just to inspire other people, that already is a change. Just to know that there are people just doing things and that want this place to be a better place, and that care, and that we all care. We're just trying our best while we're alive in this very, very brief moment called life to do our little contribution here, and that's all, basically.
I'm going to share now.
Well, going back to the theme of the garbage, it is a very, very big problem on the island.
So reducing that, it's, well, you know, is obviously
Sorry?
vital. Reducing the garbage is obviously vital. It's the same. It's the same here in La Junta. La Junta is a very small community, and you know, consequently, we produce small garbage. However, a little bit further down the road is Puyualpi, next to a national park, and increasingly we're getting tens of thousands of tourists visiting the national park, and then all of the garbage doesn't have anywhere to go in Puyualpi, so it all comes to La Junta. So La Junta has, you know, it's not, maybe not to the scale of Easter Island, but it's certainly creating problems here in our local community. The tourist impact on the planet at the moment is absolutely massive. And just thinking of the coronavirus, well, cruise ships. You know, cruise ships, I'm sure you get a lot of them going to Rapanui, and you know, they come in massive ships, thousands of tourists get disgorged. They change the community very, very quickly from one that might be isolated to one that's now dealing with thousands of people on a regular basis, and then dealing with all of the results of that. And then, of course, the aeroplane industry, and you know, flying to Patagonia, flying to Rapanui, consumes an awful amount of fuel, creates all sorts of carbon in the atmosphere. So, yes, your thinking is the same as our thinking. You know, something was always destined to happen. You know, change sometimes comes very abruptly in ways that you never expect, and change is being brought to this earth, and it's impacting the very things that are being creating the problem, which is economy. The economic system is not really made for, it's not made to preserve the earth. It's made to extract the resources of the earth. And then we have the tourist economy, which is basically built around mass tourism. So in that sense, the arrival of the virus, like you said before, has enabled us to have a very good think about what next. Where do we go from here? And everything that you're doing on the island there is exactly it. And it's what we've always, you know, wanted in our life, is to be able to live a life that's a lot. In fact, if all goes well, I'd love to live a life that's not at all impactful on the earth, but is actually giving back to the earth. So a regenerative agriculture, everything. So we multiply the biodiversity rather than extract it. But having said these things, I'd like to introduce a few photos from your school.
Yes.
And I think I'll start off. Just give a slide. Yeah. So, Toki.
Toki. Toki is the name of our NGO. Toki was the tool with which everything was built on the island. It's a rock, a basalt rock that was used, to carve the moai, to carve the petroglyphs, and the idea for us was that each one of us on this earth is a Toki. We are carving our planet, we are carving our future, and we must be carve it as well as we can, as conscientious as we can. Children.
So how many children do you have at the school?
We have. Oh well, because of the virus, we've had to stop everything because most of the funding of the school fell through, but we are finding sort of a way to be able to still sort of maintain, in a way, long distance classes. We have there's a group of volunteers from the States, from England, and from Spain. They're from the Global Leaders Program, and amazing musicians who were on the island and who saw the project, and they've been helping us also with online videos which the kids can download and practice. And some of our teachers have also continued in this period sort of privately or pro bono helping, and we've been looking for the funding to be able to continue continue providing lessons. We have piano, violin, cello, in the classical orchestra also theory. These pictures from, we have each year the Tapati Festival, which is the main festival of the island, which is the cultural festival. And we perform there practically every year and show the work that's been happening. And we combine both the traditional with the classical, because that's in a way also our concept, is to show that music is one, and as long as it comes from within, and it's possible in a way to combine our ancient songs, our more modern Rapanui music, and the classical as well. So that's that picture. There's Enrique too. You see him there. More pictures of Tapati. We have more than 80 children. Sometimes close to 100. It varies. It varies.
Yeah.
Now this is the school, right?
Here's this is the school. It was, that's the day we inaugurated it. You can see on the sides the cisterns, which are, they have rocks around them. Those are the water collectors.
Yeah. Oh,
Beautiful.
beautiful.
We have 40,000 liters, which we collect. The water collects on the roof and flows into them. And then on the roofs, the sides of the roofs are over the terrace. Those are green, green gardens.
No,
That's Enrique.
It's Enrique, and this is Michael Reynolds, right?
Yes, that's Enrique, Michael Reynolds. They were, how you say, like, to put the first rock when the construction starts. This was to put the first tire.
Foundation tire.
Putting the first tire. Yeah. So the walls are all built. They're built with the compacted dirt in the tires.
Yeah,
with
very
and tires.
Yeah, very strong, very energy efficient, good for good for keeping the heat in, and in the winter, and the cooling in the summer.
And it's also very good for seismic movement also, because the tires are just put one over the other. Seismic movement, like if you have an earthquake, it works very well because it just moves, but nothing happens.
Like
here you can see them.
Like they act like a shock absorber. Yeah, and it's the same.
Exactly.
It's a similar concept with the construction of our home, which is earth bags. It's a very it's a kind of slightly flexible. So when it's very heavy and strong, but if you get a tremble or earthquake, then they're slightly flexible, so we don't break. And the resistance is in the flexibility. And this is all cans that we're looking at. Bottles? Yes.
All on the top, all you see there are cans, which they get just put in the cement, just like a beehive, air spaces.
Yep. Create some.
That helps to use less of the traditional. Yeah, you use less of traditional materials, and you make these little airbags. And then on the walls in the bottom, you can see little circles. The circles, which are bottles, glass bottles.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
There we are, beautiful. These are all wine bottles, I guess.
Yeah, can you imagine that? These are all beer and wine and pisco and vodka and tequila and everything. It's just, I mean, it's hard to imagine how these bottles end up in a music school where we're trying to teach them not to drink and not to and we used 6 years or even more at this point, 7 years of garbage.
Wow.
Because as you were saying, the tourist impact with the 120,000 tourists and all the garbage that is brought and it just sits there, and there has been a whole movement like to create the recycle place where the residues can be separated. There's a whole program on the island, how recycle garbage. There's no such thing as garbage. You have the organic, and the municipality also has given compost bins for people to actually take care of their organic residues and separate bottles and cans and Tetra Pak and everything. So it's a slow process to educate a community and change habits, which have to do, with easy and comfortable habits, which have become the normality. But I think people are more and more aware. And I think, especially after this pandemic, I think in general, everybody's becoming more humble. I think we have realized that there are no frontiers. There is no such thing as this is my country, that's your country. No, we live in one big country called planet Earth. And what we do to you, we're doing to ourselves. So I think, I hope, we will reconsider things.
Your school is a terrific advertisement for building with recycled materials, because it looks so beautiful. This, you see from the inner side, and it's just gorgeous. It's like, it's like when you go into a medieval church in Europe and look at the stained glass windows.
Yeah, that's what it looks like when you're inside. Like stained glass or little jewels in the walls. Oh, that's when we were still working on the school and starting the vegetable gardens as well.
So extensive gardens.
Yeah,
big. And now, because I wanted to show this.
That's
that's
today.
Yeah, full of green.
It's like it's in a jungle.
Yeah.
Really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's I was going to ask before. Do you go
it's
many
been
months?
a lot of work.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I was wondering, do you go
No,
many
I was going to
months?
say it's been a lot of work, but very gratifying.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask before.
Oh, your question about the water. The water.
Rain. Do you get in summertime? Do you go months without rain? Like, can it get very dry?
It can get very dry. It is very unpredictable on the island. I mean, you might have very dry, and then suddenly 2 weeks of just rain pouring and pouring and pouring. So our school is, as a plan B, it is connected to the local, like there's a close by pipe that is coming from one of the wells that provides water for that area of the island, just for emergencies, in case we don't have water. But what we're actually doing now, one of the projects that Toki's won some grant for in the next few months was to make more water collectors, because when it rains, our 40,000 liters, they fill up very quickly. So the idea is that the surplus of that water can be channeled and stored in another place. So that can also help to provide for the vegetable gardens and for everything, if there's more dry periods. So we have the grant, which we got for that, and in the next few months that should be taking place in the lands of Toki. And here you see greenhouse. You see the Toki, part of Toki's tomato plants.
Wow.
It's great.
Wow, that's a lot of...
the tomato has been... No, and it's much, much bigger. The tomatoes have been a tremendous produce and have tremendous productivity on the island and on the Toki land. It's just tons and tons of kilos of tomatoes, just like, woo! It's like, so that and the good thing, like this vegetable garden, it has several purposes. In a way, it can, by what is sold, it can also help to provide some funding for the school or for the team who's working on the gardens. And also a large amount is also given for like the community. There are certain special dates during the year that where all the community, they do what's called umu, which is it's like an offering. It's mainly for religious holidays, but they one family will provide food for the whole entire island, and they cook it in the ground, and for that you need many amounts of food. And so like we offer great part of the produce also for these kinds of things, or for some families who need it. And especially now, the idea is what's being cultivated is to be able to help also with the families that are in more need, families of our kids from the school, when it really starts producing the vegetables that have been planted lately. We're working also on making a bigger greenhouse. Oh, those are the banana. There's a big banana plantation that was done. He's Kanko, Juan Haoa and Mahina. They're the ones in charge of the agricultural part of Toki. And the Toki has the biggest bananas, the most most beautiful ones. Somehow this was all part of this experimental process. I mean, it was done by, protecting the area from the wind. It's like, in a way, using modern technology to do what our ancestors used to do in older days. In older days, they used to do what's called manavai. They used to do with rocks, round, aerodynamic constructions, in a way, walls, where it could be cultivated inside, and that would protect from the wind and keep the humidity. And so we've been doing similar things with the more modern technology, in a way. And it's very interesting what our ancestors used to do. We actually reproduced some of the ancient systems on the Toki land. I don't know if you have a picture, but if not, everybody will go and visit sometime. So, and it's with the systems of with these rocks, like these round constructions, and also something that was called gardens of rocks. Which, if you see it from far away, it just looks like a bunch of rocks just randomly grouped. But if you go close, you see that right in the middle of every now and then, there are these spaces which were to plant. And the idea of that is that the rocks around, they keep the humidity and they protect from the hot sun. So you have nutrients going into the earth, the minerals and everything, and it doesn't dry up. So those are the older techniques, which we are also using on Toki land. And here are this plantation is of the citrus. There are almost 200 trees of oranges and tangerines and lemons and chamoya plants. Yeah. Here they were still small, but they're growing, and in a year probably it'll be very, very, very productive. And actually, the person who's helping us, who's our monitor, the one I told you, we call him Coro Juan Carlos. This incredible agroecological, brilliant mind. He's been helping us with this, and this is only one of these plantations of several that were done on the island, monitored also by him and by the Toki team. Already a couple years ago, in a way towards this concept of self-sustainability in the food area. We can produce our food.
Yeah,
so that's
wonderful.
Yeah, that is wonderful.
Wow, that's very
our website.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's your website.
So everybody's invited there to visit us, and whoever wants to have more information or subscribe to our newsletter or contribute somehow, they're welcome to.
Yeah, and you've got lots of videos too. Lots of videos on the construction, on the kids playing music, on all sorts of things.
And I would like, if it's possible, to invite everybody that's in United States. Tonight, there will be a live streaming of a documentary, beautiful documentary that's been done of the island by Sergio Rapu. He's Rapanui and has been living in the States for a very long time. And he made a documentary that addresses the theme of the garbage on the island. And one of the three storylines is the storyline of Toki, of our school. And it would be wonderful, whoever's in the States and wants to watch it. And after that, there will be a chat, conversation that will be happening with the producer, with the director, and with answering questions of the people that they may have. And later, this documentary for a whole month will be available for download. So people can just freely download it and watch it. And yeah, I hope lots of people can see it.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, we'll definitely do.
Eating up.
So this is Eastern time tonight.
Yeah, but this one is, to watch it, it's only available in the States for now.
Yeah. Well, here are some people from the States. I saw
No, yes.
people watching from Pennsylvania and from UK. And
Yay! Hi to everybody.
Toki, Lee, and Kendall, Mike.
Yeah. Oh, there are our volunteers from the Global Leaders Program.
Oh,
They've been
I see.
helping us with the music lessons, and
Yeah,
they're the most
oh,
amazing.
Mike says tomatoes are so good.
Yes, the best tomatoes.
Tomatoes,
Yeah. Yeah, we've got 5 types
of tomatoes.
Yeah.
of tomatoes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
We even have those
we have-
little black ones.
yeah, they're really nice. They're
Mhm.
really nice. And I was thinking too, when you were mentioning water, you know, you obviously noticed, and we talked about when you visited our land, our ponds. We have 19 ponds we created. We have about 160,000 liters of water, because even here in Patagonia, and especially with climate change, we are noticing a difference. The summers have just been getting a little bit longer and a little bit drier. You know, so we've been collecting the water since 2011, and we need that water. We figured to be able to exist, we could exist for about 8 months with that much water, because our gardens we use what's called hugel culture, which is we bury old wood in the garden beds, and then that helps to absorb the water. When you bury the wood, put the soil on plants, the roots go down towards the wood, and then when the wood gets wet, the plants suck up the water. So it means we have to water less. You know, so if you need any sort of little ideas on the water saving aspect, then we're here to to give a hand there, because water is the most valuable thing on the planet. We're 70% water. It is so vital, and for so many years we've been trashing the oceans, trashing the rivers, making it so the cities, it's not normal to, people nowadays in most cities don't like to drink the water from the tap. Fortunately here we don't have a stream on our land. We have one behind our land, which we have access to the water from, but we can get fresh, beautiful water, from that. So the water saving, no matter where we are, is vital, and because your greenhouses, just the greenhouses alone, all those tomatoes, consume water, and and when it's not falling from the sky, then it has to come from somewhere. So that's great. You managed to be able to get some financial assistance to be able to collect even more water.
No, and your ideas, I mean, everything, as I told you, I was so tremendously inspired by your place. In fact, I wish you would make a whole program just about, you telling us about your place and showing us what you're doing, and just, it's it's amazing. It's so inspiring, and I think everybody can learn so much.
Yeah, and I was also thinking too, another vital component is the trees.
Yes.
Right now we've been planting trees for the last few years, and we've got planted over 1,200 on what was a former pasture land without a single tree. And now, because the trees are growing up, we have all of the material to be able to use on the gardens, for the mulch and everything like that, to create compost. But the trees provide the shade. And now I'm even trying to get the trees to grow over all the paths, so that virtually every piece of land that we're not using for gardening, because we need the sun, I want to have shaded. So in the summertime, we create like a circular system where the water rises from the land and goes into the trees and comes back and creates this entire circular thing, which is nature, and which everything that you're doing there with the school and everything is very much of a of a circular enterprise. You know, in order to receive, then we have to give. And the more we give,
Exactly.
the more we receive.
The more we receive. Yeah, I think that's the concept that we need to just realize, that it's not about taking. It's quite the opposite. The more you give, immediately that just comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's in a natural and I believe in a spiritual philosophy way. You know, it's sort of in line with the universe and you know and the energy that floats around on our planet.
Yeah.
Wow, we've been talking. We better go because I know you've got a busy day. You've got this PBS thing coming up, and you were saying you've got another thing going on later. I mean, you're very busy. Wow, we could talk all day, but I think
and you need to get back to your gardens too.
Oh yeah, we've got some people from Konaf coming on today to see what we've been doing with all the trees they've been donating.
Okay. They're just checking, make sure you didn't chop them all up.
Yeah, I think they're going to be very pleasantly surprised.
I'm sure they will. I know they will. Well, thank you so much for everything. I can't wait to visit you again there.
Yes, likewise. And one day we would love to get out there. Maybe we might have to paddle.
Or swim, you know. You might start training your swimming.
Go with the sailing boat.
Yeah.
I
actually spent years at sea, and I actually led a balsa raft expedition down the Amazon. You know, so the concept of floating across is not so alien to me.
That would be perfect. That would be great.
Okay, well, we'll let you go.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching too. And don't forget to visit our webpage, Toki Rapanui. We also have a Facebook page for whoever has Facebook. It's Toki Rapanui. And the YouTube channel also, ONG Toki. That's our webpage there. So you can visit and find out more about the project and what we're doing. Send everybody big hug and lots of energy to affront what's ahead of us, to work in the best way we can, in the most noble way as well, and start thinking again as a community and working together, thinking about the one who's next to us and remembering that we're one with our planet and we must take care of it. And it's in all of our actions, in our daily actions. We must take responsibility. So thank you for everything. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Kokomi. And
thank you for being with us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Gracias.